Good.
All right, the hour of 6 o'clock having arrived on the third Monday of the month, and all members of council present. Let's start this meeting. We'll call to order. Join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Elder Lee Hagan is joining us again, D. Hagan is joining us again tonight to give us our invocation. Thank you, sir.
Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together, Lord, as a community, as leadership. And Lord, as we've learned in your word, we are to pray for our leaders. And at this time, Lord, I pray for guidance. Lord, I pray for protection. I pray for this town and this community, Lord, that we may be of one mind and of one heart. Lord, may we lead in a way that's honoring to you. And Lord, just protect us in our days to come. I pray all this in your Son's name, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you for the service, brother.
Thank you.
All right, all members of council are present. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes of the March 7th council meeting. All of you should have been provided a copy in advance.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? One abstention due to an absence on that night. All right, next item on the agenda is the recognition of the electric department for a National Certificate of Excellence. And this is one of my favorite things, is getting to recognize excellent service by one of our departments. And tonight we have one to honor. And before I present the plaque and call all of you up, I would like for Mr. Johnny Hodges from the electric department to come up and tell us a little bit about the award and just how significant it is for the city.
Well, first off, I want to say y'all excuse me for the way I'm dressed. And I had back surgery 3 weeks ago, and I can't put on regular clothes.
Understood.
Basically, what this is I got an email from the APPA, which is American Public Power Association, back on March 9th. We do all our outage tracking through e-reliability, which APP does. And they keep records of that, we enter the data and they keep track of all the records. And I knew we had done quite well last year, but I didn't realize we'd done as well as what they said we had done. I got this email that says, congratulations to APPA. I'd like to commend your utility for achieving exceptional electric reliability in the year 2015. APPA has taken your utility's reliability data and compiled through e-reliability tracker service and compared it to the top quartile of system outage duration from national reliability data collected by the Energy Information Administration. To formally celebrate your utility's accomplishments, we present you the attached certificate of excellence and have also provided a press release. And I don't know what the exact figure where they used for this, but we're basically saying we were in tops in the public power, and minimizing outages and minimizing the duration of such outages. And I want to commend the guys at the top here, Jake Meadows, Mike Sackler, and I've got two that's not here today.
Why don't we have everybody come up and I'll make the presentation of the plaque. Y'all know what to do every day to make this possible. We appreciate it. And you want to get a picture with us? Well, look best, I mean, very good. Very good. All right.
We want to get right behind.
Come on in, everybody come in. Everybody come in.
I don't know the law.
Make sure everybody's ready.
All right, big smile.
It's good.
All right, congratulations. Appreciate what y'all do. Understood. I do want to say before they leave that April 18th is National Lineman Day. So we
We all got to stay on.
Talk to the city manager.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Rescue week you mentioned, or?
Janice has got a copy
Okay.
of it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing, and before we get to that item, I need to disclose to the council and those present that there is a potential conflict of interest that I have in that in my capacity as one of the owners of a private ambulance service, we have entered into a contract with the proposed birthing center, which presents a potential for a conflict of interest. So I've consulted with our council, and he suggested that the mayor pro tem preside. So at this time, I would call for a motion from council to allow the mayor pro tem to preside for item 3, and then I will return to the chair after item 3 has been disposed of.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Mr. Mayor pro tem.
Thank you, Mayor Will. This seat's warmer than mine. Okay, item 3, public hearing application for variance from Kamal Azar, agent for the West Monroe Investment LLC at 161 MLK Junior Drive. Mr. Middleton, could you explain that?
Mr. Azar, he's here, yes. This is a petition for variance application for OB-GYN or birth center to operate a birthing center at 161 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Forsyth. That area is zoned neighborhood shopping. It will not be a zoning change, but a variance for the use here. Is what's asked for. And everybody familiar with the neighborhood, I think you've got a copy of some information here. Planning and zoning heard this on February 22nd, and it comes to you with a recommendation for approval from planning and zoning. It was advertised in the March 2, March 9, and March 16 issues of the reporter, and that's more than 15 days before tonight, and meets the ordinance provisions for notice. And so it's here for a public hearing on this application for a variance. The agent for the applicant is here. Anybody want to come up and begin the process?
You want to open the floor for public hearing? Floor is open. Anybody would like to come and speak? Please only. Or against.
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Azar?
Could you explain the concept of a birthing center? I mean, I'm not aware exactly what a birthing center is.
Yeah, sure.
And why is it different from delivering a baby at a hospital or something like that? I'm totally unaware of what it is.
I'm not a doctor, so
Yes, sir.
I'm just telling you basically what my client explained. As you all know, there is a new movement basically where a lot of women prefer not having to go into a sterile environment to have a baby. They prefer doing it naturally most of the time. Just like I bet you most of the people in this room probably either were born at home or born somewhere before the trend where everybody had to go to a hospital. And actually, there are quite few all over the country. A lot of birth happen with midwives. They're not going into OB-GYN, and there has been a need, and this would be basically the second one. I think from what I hear from the client, and instead of either second or third. I know there's one in Savannah, and there's one in Atlanta. And you know, you have to get certifications. So to get these, you just don't do it open. Because we do have a doctor and some midwives, licensed professionals too. And the idea behind it is not to go ahead and design more of a sterile environment as if you're going in a hospital. The facility is going to be more residential in nature, architecturally residential, where the family can come in and be with the female, whoever, and just more of a like having a baby at home environment. They actually duplicated a lot of these within hospitals, but still, from what I hear from clients, people prefer to just have a smaller facility, 24 hours to do this. I don't really know why the thing, but it seems like a lot of natural birth movement. You hear a lot of complications that can happen with the deliveries. You know, I don't want to get into the medical aspect of it, but that's kind of the idea behind it.
Is that the only service that will be provided there, correct? I mean.
Yeah, it's going to have, they're going to be in this facility, they're going to be 2 birthing rooms. And also during the process, there'll be a couple of exam rooms where the female would come and the doctor would see her instead of seeing her in the doctor's office. They can see OB/GYN can see the patient and check on the progress during the pregnancy.
I guess the biggest thing I'm looking at is this is not a Planned Parenthood type of thing, and
No.
it seems like it's 100% opposite of
No,
that.
no, this
Dude,
is simply, no, this is simply just,
Not.
it's an option. Instead of just having a baby, people opt to want to have a baby
Okay.
in an environment where they can find a physician.
So it won't be any overnight stays, just have a baby?
Actually, this is a 24-hour because basically you can deliver a baby anytime. It's a 24-hour operation. I'm sure when you deliver a baby, you can stay a day or so, and then before you get discharged.
Well, that would be left up to the discretion of the
Yeah.
family anyway, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and all these, the whole thing is so regulated.
Mhm.
It's, I mean, everything's going to have to follow basically what the regulations are, from the state, and you know, it's a difficult one to.
Okay. You had any drawings or renderings how the building's gonna work?
We don't have any drawings. We have not done the actual design on it, but I could tell you it's going to resemble a residential. It's going to have pitch roofs. Perhaps our client wanted to be really nice. They're talking about using perhaps some stone on the building, just make it feel like you're at home. But it's gonna have a residential feel to it from the exterior.
So it will just blend into the neighborhood, which is Brookwood Heights is what we're looking at. And you're aware of what we're talking about, because that's your neighborhood.
I know.
So, I mean, so it seems like the building itself will blend into the neighborhood.
Right.
That will come back at a later date. This is just to get their conditional use. They wanted to do this and make sure that they could get approved for this before they went to the expense of drawing the plans. Once this is approved, then they'll go through drawing the plans and submitting those plans. And if there's anything that needs to go back through planning and zoning at that time, or to go through design and review for them to look at to make sure that it does blend in.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So this is not a rezoning, it's a conditional use.
Fair.
Yeah, my daughter-in-law is a primary care physician in Wisconsin, and she delivers a lot of babies in the clinic atmosphere.
Yeah.
And she delivers a number in the water.
What? They're doing it.
They will do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have what they call the water tubs. Yeah, they will have that. It's a site.
It is spreading.
Yes.
Simplifying.
Right.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions? No? Close public hearing, and, what's the council's view?
I move that we grant the variance for them to, take the next step in the birthing center. And 161 MLK German Drive.
Okay, the first and the second, any discussion? Ready to vote? All those in favor? Okay, 5 affirmative votes. Motion passes. Okay, Mayor Wilson?
The original motion was that after this item was completed, to
Right.
carry it back up to the next.
All right, next item on the agenda, item number 4, is to announce the advertisement of a beer and wine package license for Henry Lee Hamlin at Hamlin Hills, 477 Danesbury Road.
It's just an announcement to make you aware that this will be, advertised, we must advertise for 2 weeks, and so this will come back to the second meeting in April. I have everything, including things from the report that has come back from Mr. Hamlin, so it's just a matter of the advertisements that have to take place now, so it'll come back in April.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item number 5, Drake Moore, Blunt Hill Family Celebration request to close portions of Blunt Street and request for electric panel for event. Ms. Moore?
Good evening.
Good.
First, we would like to, in honor of the Blunt Hill community, we want to thank the city of Forsyth and Ms. Jenny for the donation of the trash bags that they provided for us on our cleanup day on March the 12th in our neighborhood. I come before, we are having a Blunt Hill Family Friends Day again this year. We had it 2 years ago, back in 2014. And we would like to see, could we have a permit in order to close part of Blunt Hill down, part of Blunt Hill and a noise audience for that day from 12 to 9, 12 p.m. to 9.
All right, any questions from the council while she's up?
I would like to add that Ms. Moore almost called you Zelda. That, I'll say Drake. Her and some other residents that live in Blunt Hill, they've been very proactive about keeping their community clean. They've done a phenomenal job. I do recall last Blunt Hill Day, City of Forsyth, we were team players in it. They policed up everything over there pretty well for the most part. No incidences, so I see no reason why we should not grant what she's asking for. And I will also say this right here. When you talk about a community that takes care of their elderly, that's one thing I'm in awe with. They make sure that the elderly families that live in their neighborhood, they take care of their yards. They make sure they don't have any trash. They make sure they have some, whatever support they need, they take care of it. It's about heritage over that neighborhood. So thank you. I wish we had more that was stepping out like this. Thank you.
We also have wellness walk, once a month, every second Saturday. It's for elders, kids, anyone that's, well, everyone is welcome. We do a lot for our neighborhood, but we all trying to get the community, per se, and all in general to join in and maybe do it in their neighborhood to give them access to the same things that we, provide for our neighborhood.
Maybe we should join y'all too, and that's Active Georgia, that could probably count out as our Active Georgia presence.
You're more than welcome to participate.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there a motion from the council?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, Ms. Vicky.
Next item on the agenda is item number 6, approval of partnership with City and Main Street for Leadership in the Road Project, and City Clerk Crystal Dunn is also a member of the leadership class.
I come before you today as part of Leadership Monroe, not the city clerk. Our project, which we, I think, Renee Jenkins, who was here last meeting, told you about our project, what we have planned to do in building all-accessible playground. We, even though that it is gonna be out of the county land, we want it to be a partnership, not with just the county, but with the city also. To be eligible for, and the main reason for me coming back today is because to be eligible for a lot of the grants that we want to apply for to help us fund the playground, we need to be affiliated with an entity who has a 501(c). And since that Better Hometown does have one, we're hoping that you will approve a joint partnership between the Leadership Monroe class and Better Hometown so that we can benefit, you know, when we do our grants.
So then maybe wondering why the grants is, Leadership Monroe is a chamber affiliated, why they're not using the chamber? The chamber's a 501(c)(6), and in order to be eligible for grants to do the 501(c)(3), they have applied for the 501(c)(3), but they've not received that designation yet. And so to apply for a lot of these grants that will help pay for the equipment, they need that 501(c)(3).
All right. Motion to approve the partnership. Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? What would the partnership, what does it consist of on the city part, other than agreeing to be a partner? Is there a financial responsibility?
No.
Or what is the?
No, we just want to be able to use, mainly to use the 501(c) as to help with our grants. There's no financial obligation from the city. This is, Leadership Monroe is funding this for grants, community donations, and I lost where they from the leadership team. So there's not, we're not asking for anything from the city in that way.
Because I know we didn't make a financial commitment.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that we were not financially committing now.
No,
Prematurely,
we're not.
because we may decide to. but
Right,
we
no.
haven't yet. So this is just allowing the
This is,
partnership.
right.
And even if there's a grant that's a 50-50 grant, Leadership Monroe would do the 50 of the grant.
Right.
Of the 50 of our partnership. It wouldn't be that Better Hometown. Now, the grants we do filled out as, I guess it's probably gonna be Forsyth, Better Hometown doing business as Forsyth Main Street and the Monroe County Leadership class. So they'll have to be in both of their names for the affiliation for the 501(c)(3) from Better Hometown. But even if there's a match, that match will come from the leadership class, not from the city.
Yeah, I would think if there are any maintenance requirements surrounding the grant that would cost the city money, that we would need to know about that and vote on that separately.
Right. And after, from what we've discussed with Keith Edge, once we have the playground built, we're actually turning it over to where they are going to keep up the maintenance on it, because it's right next. It's going to be right next to their playgrounds that they have there currently.
What was the budget? What do you have?
We don't yet. We actually have a gentleman coming from Play South Playgrounds Wednesday to look at the land and see. It's basically going to depend on how much land he thinks we can use once he comes down Wednesday. And then we can decide, that's when we're going to decide what equipment we really need.
There's a foundation, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, some of us went to a dinner a few weeks ago, Central Georgia Community Foundation, and they facilitate some of this type of stuff and actually help people with it. And that would probably be a good group to look at, whether you partner with us or not, and help facilitate this process. They have a good program going, and I don't know, do you have that?
I've spoken to them about the trees
And they were little known, I didn't know anything about them, but they handle a lot of money, and as I understand it, if you have an interest then you set up an account with them, and they will manage that account for you, and the disbursements flow through them. That may be something to look at, too. I'll get with you about it. All right, any other questions from the council? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? None opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn, member of the leadership class, you may return to the city clerk. Next item on the agenda, item number 7, approval of accounts payable invoices. Ms. Hall.
One change is, the amount that's listed on the agenda of 199,739.26 is 249,6397. The administration totals $96,083.20. Cemetery, $845.95. Fire, $1,016.61. Police, $42,317.03. Better Hometown, $315.57. Street Department, $24,664.13. Some of those invoices do include invoices from Dot Builder Supply. Garage, $3,885.55. Electric, $41,117.79. Water, $25,790.76. Sewer, $4,928.38, for a total of $240,963.97. And the difference of the $41,224.71 is, you'll remember several meetings back, I asked you to approve that we move from affinity service claims to Georgia administration for the administration of an old outstanding workers' comp claim that we're still paying the medical on. They had not billed us since February of 2014. And they had still been paying invoices, and so in their closeout of that claim, turning that over to Georgia administration, they realized that there was $41,224.71 of claims that they had paid that they had not billed us for. So they sent me a listing of all of those, so I've gone back and reviewed those, and that's why it wasn't included in that, because when I got it last week, then I was still reviewing those to make sure that we did not pay those claims.
You said it's open,
No, sir, we moved it from one company, one third-party administrator to another, and they are working on trying to settle that claim.
All right, you've been presented with the accounts payable invoices. Is there a motion? So I have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
I will explain further since I am a
Mr. Dodd, so noted. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carries 5 votes to 0 with 1 abstention. All right, tonight is our work session night, and on the work session agenda, the first item is the city manager report. It includes some subsets, which I think she'll take care of. So Ms. Hall.
Yes, sir, thank you. The first item that we have on here is one that we've been talking about for quite some time. It's the debris pickup, discussion with advanced disposal. Jerry Worth is here tonight to talk about, the proposals that advanced disposal has. I submitted to you, through email, and then I've done some, amendments to that I submitted to you, so you should have a hard copy of that in front of you, where I've done some figures from the city side. Mr. Love, if you want to come up and review your side from advanced disposal.
Yeah, no problem. Hard to follow that leadership Monroe. A novel idea, old joint county operation, city county at the wrecking department. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. So, if y'all would give me enough time, I want to go through some of y'all may good at math. So I'm gonna spout off some numbers here to kind of bring us up to speed. I think we took this over in 2013, and the original quote package was, the original quote for advanced disposal was $8.75 a home to pick up the trash, $3 to pick up the recycle, $1 to pick up bulky waste, and $1 to pick up yard waste with a 2 cubic yard maximum, and limits, size limitations, and so that was a total of $13.75. And at that time, council voted to enter negotiations with advanced disposal, since we were your franchised commercial hauler at that time. So council, and I believe on the committee then was Mayor Wilson, and I believe Councilman Dodd was leaving, that time, and then Mayor Wilson took over, and he bargained the rate down to $11.50, all inclusive, from $13.75 to $11.50. And I believe there was an email between myself and Ms. Hall, which we basically said that was a 16% rate reduction from our original quotation that was in the public meetings. So that gives us kind of two rate. The problem in question, which we see this time of year, it's always a question. I mean, this is nothing. I've been in Houston County with the same argument. I cover all the way to Jennings, Florida. Athens, Georgia to Jennings, Florida is my area. I've had this argument in Wrightsville, Georgia, Houston County, Pierce County. I'm in Ocilla, Georgia right now. They pick up 600 tons a year of yard work. So it's always, you know, because we can control how much we buy at the grocery store, which goes in the trash can. But when we figure out how much a tree drops, y'all let me know, because you're a little smarter than I am. They drop on their own schedule, especially in South Georgia where you have live oaks and pines. They drop twice a week. We've thrown out a few proposals. We've had some offers back and forth. I think, Ms. Hall, do they have this?
Yeah.
This, okay, this hasn't.
Well, yes, back in September they had.
Okay, so back in September, okay. So what we offered was, you guys have always been pretty happy with your grapple service. Give you some history. We took over the city of Cochran, Georgia, a little larger than the city of Forsyth. 1 month before we took over Forsyth. There were about 1,800 homes, and almost 1,900. And they didn't like the yard waste limits, so they took it back over. And we gave them a refund. And then 2 years later, starting February of 2016, we just bought their grapple truck and took over the grapple service for, I think we raised their rate $7 a home. And now they're happy with us, so back we're doing, they like the gravel service and they just pay us to do it now because they couldn't afford for the size of a home. We're doing it in 3 days, their gravel service, and they were doing it in 5 days with 3-man crew. So we come back and we made an offer to the city of Forsyth. A couple things here, so feel free to jot down. We said we would come in and do an all-inclusive rate. Right now, we're charging you, my whole stack here. We're charging you roughly $18,970. With CPI increases, that equals 1,627 homes at $1,166 a month. So we started at $1,150. We're at $1,166 with CPIs and 1,627 homes. Now that's due to grow because at the request of the city, we did a route audit. And somewhere, we haven't agreed on the rate, but the rough figures are, I heard 200 homes, plus or minus extra carts, unbilled customers, which the city's going to net positive cash on that. But once we work that out, we'll be asking to adjust that home count to be more reflective of what we're actually doing. I believe when we took over the city, we were thinking we were going to be in the 1,400 range, which fit us perfectly on a 2-day work week. And now in the 1,627, we may be, plus we're going to grow 200. Now we figured out why we can't make a full day, why we can't get it all. We're up here 3 days a week now, and that's the math. You know, that 1,800, 1,900 homes is it's not 3 good days, but you can't get it in 2. And that's why the yard waste was always supposed to be incorporated into our collection, because we can turn it into natural gas in our landfill. Whereas the city, that Monroe County cannot take it to consolidate. Only landfills like mine can take it consolidated. We make natural gas, put the energy back into the grid. Okay? So that puts us, that was one of our proposals, was to come in and raise the rate to, from 11, right now you're at 1166, you'll go to 1680, which is $5.14 more per home, okay, for unlimited yard waste.
What's that rate again?
You're at 1166 now, and you're going to go to 1680, and that's unlimited yard waste. You put it out there, we come in with a gravel truck, and we'll get it. We'll buy our grapple and we'll do it. That's what we're doing in Cochran. Stick it out there, bag, unbag, whatever, we're gonna come in with a claw. Just don't complain if we get a little bit of your sod with it. The next one would be no yard waste collection. Let the city, they have the grapple truck, they wanna do it. We said we'd roll the rate back, we'll give you your reduction. We're at $11.66 a home. Mayor Wilson negotiated that rate. It started at $1 a home, take 16%. This is about 84 cents. We got some CPIs. Your new rate will be, go from 11.66 to 10.80. You know, you're saying, hey, that's not a lot of money, but that's how it was structured in 2013. Yard waste is not all the way year round. Some participate, some don't. Some get tired of the restrictions and just mulch it, put it in their backyard, and that's how it works. So we offered to give you your money back, and we'll roll back to 10.80 pro rata based on the original contract. Or we could just keep going like we're doing now, and I think we're going to move some days around so it's not sitting there. The yard waste wasn't sitting. This proposal is back from September, so I got to catch up. But we talked about doing a little bit of work, and you stay where you're at, and we'll go. Now we've also offered to freeze your CPI increases for additional years on the contract, so you guys can save a little money. Now a fourth option would, or you can add this in any way you want. You guys are in your 5 basic services, sanitation is one of those that you must provide. So you still have the franchise of Forsyth. We bill the individual customers and pay you guys I believe it's a 9% franchise of our billings. Now, some cities have said, hey, we'll take, since you're providing electricity, you have a meter or a method of collection, you guys can take over all the billing of the customers at this point and write advance disposal with one check. And what we do is we come in here, we figure out what our average rate is to the citizens, and we bank that rate on a cubic yard method. And then at this point, the city would add on any fees they want on top of what they pay us. And that's a method of revenues for the city. There's several options out here. Now, I'll take my beat.
I think I heard, I was tracking with you on 3 options. Was there a 4th one?
Well, yeah.
So the first option.
Well, the first, now, they're not all here. The first one's unlimited yard waste. The second one's no yard waste. The third one is just stay like you are. And the fourth one kind of had nothing to do with yard waste, but it's like, you guys want to make some money to pay for the additional yard waste, you can take your franchise back over.
Where are we in our current contract? Because I heard you talk about freezing the CPI.
You're about
talking about extending the contract.
Yeah, you're in year 3. Yeah. I believe it just hit, is this the third? Yeah, April will be the 3rd year.
Of a 5-year contract. When you talk about freezing the CPI, for how many years are you talking about?
That's just in negotiations at this point. I mean, you're gonna throw it out there. We offer those things.
So at the 1080, if we took the yard waste back over, you've agreed to reduce it to 1080 or $10?
No, it's $10.
$10. 1080. Okay. Sometimes, because I'm not as good at math, sometimes I read zeros and eights wrong. But anyway, so anyway, maybe we need to negotiate again.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you would come to 1080.
That's right.
If we took it back over.
That's right.
And you'd freeze the CPI, even if we don't extend the contract.
No, not that one. I can add at 1080. We'll go to 1080.
Yeah.
Because I'm down to 2 years.
Right.
You know, if you want to go 1080 and then add some years, I'll freeze some CPIs in there.
Okay. Or the first option y'all proposed was to do all of our, even if it doesn't meet the size requirements.
Yeah, there'll be no more size requirements. There'll be nothing at that point. And you've got some local codes and ordinances that are going to reflect some of that has nothing to do with us. So that's up to council at that point to tell us what those codes and ordinances are. We probably need to stay the same because I don't believe we want to get in picking up construction debris.
And that was at 1585.
Those at 1680.
1680. No, really, my pen died, so I didn't get to write all this down. So some of these numbers I noticed. Yeah.
It was a $5.14 increase at that point.
1680. Okay. That's all I have. Did any of the council now, initially, when we talked about this, wasn't there some initial assertion that y'all had a grapple truck, or that y'all?
No, we've never had a gravel truck in the northern bill.
I thought that was in our contract initially.
No, it was rear load. That's why we have that's why we combine it. When we pitch that thing, we were gonna put it in our landfill and make natural gas out of it. So I had to combine the loads. So where I take it to our landfill and make natural gas out of it.
So what would y'all do for a grapple truck if we agreed to?
I'd have to purchase a gravel truck. Yeah, we can purchase yours, or we can do, if you wanna keep yours, y'all done a lot of work to it. We can purchase yours at whatever you put in it, and you can recoup your capital investment, or you can keep it. Some towns all wanna keep them for, disasters and special needs. And then we can move it from there, but we would have to purchase them.
Yeah, that's where I hang up. So,
Yeah. You've already got it.
I wouldn't be in favor of that.
No.
I feel like we always, and I don't know what your idea of handling storms.
It's usually not. It's in your contract, force majeure. You know, act of God. Yeah, no, it's
then we
kind of on your own until we can get up here, because we're covering so much of Georgia. I mean, you won't be the only customer, and you do call more than the average one, but it's,
We have to, we're gonna stay in business.
yeah, everybody does a little different, so it's not a bad
Maybe
idea.
storm related, Mother Nature related, or the Lord related.
Of course, you've got a good county operation here.
Pardon?
You got a good county operation.
Well, yeah, we do. We have, hopefully we have,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a better relationship.
That's right.
Now, you say we call more than, do we have, you have?
I think you have a direct number to the top. That usually gives you better results.
Well, you hear, maybe you hear about our calls.
I do hear more about yours. But it's okay, you're getting a service that.
We appreciate what we get.
Yeah, it's a
But,
good.
you know, I just want to say one thing before the council jumps in, but, you know, back when we started talking about this, because I was on the committee and helped negotiate the rate, and part of the reason that we wanted to get the rate down where we did is so that we could charge the citizens less, because we were decreasing the pickup days from 2 to 1, which I think that has worked out pretty well. Everybody agrees that that's enough. 1 day a week, you know, probably good enough, but where we had a lot of heartache from our citizens, and rightly so, I think, is because of the yard waste.
Mhm.
So that's why we keep coming back to that. But, and I think we've agreed as a council, I don't want to speak for the whole council, but that we don't want to charge the citizens to pick up the yard waste. So we want to figure out some way that we can accomplish getting it all done in that matrix of being able to charge them where we are now and not cost the city any more money, and still accomplish getting all the yard waste collected like we were doing before the contract.
And then we didn't, you know, back in those, when we made those decisions, we were pulling money off the table, and we've made the analogy, it's a Cadillac to a Chevrolet, or it's not apples and oranges. I mean, you're paying 86 cents a month. That's about 2 dimes a week to send a $300,000 truck and 2 men down your road and stop and gather up your yard waste. So it was the Walmart approach. I mean, the method works, but if cities, and Cochran chose not to enforce it, they just said, hey, we're a city and we're here to provide a service, and they chose to pay up for it, and they chose to say, hey, some cities say, we're not in that business, we want the Walmart truck, we like 2 dimes a week for you to come down and pick up my sticks and limbs. Some of them's confusion. In this town, some people put it across your street. Drivers running down, there's an abandoned lot over there, is that vagrants dumping there, or is that the neighbor? I know sometimes on Indian Springs, some of them carry across, and it's taking us some time. And unfortunately, by the time we call and discipline the driver, the pile got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now it's out of compliance, so now it's we send the truck up. So, you know, we'll do whatever y'all want. You know.
So what's the pleasure of the council?
What is the number if you, and I think we did have a lot of problems with yard waste. A lot of it was education, a lot of it was people, you know, we went from the Cadillac to like you said.
Yeah.
But I do think Advance, you know, just didn't pick up we got a lot of complaints, so because a lot of times it just didn't get picked up, so it's always been a problem. Whether it be a big pile, a little pile, or whatever, it's always been a problem out here. I would have a hard time increasing the number to let you guys do it, just because of all the flack we've gotten for how advanced is handled
Yeah.
up to this point. What I would like to know, but I am all for the rate covering the service, and I don't want the city to go in the hole trying to provide a service if the rate doesn't match what we're trying to do. So my question is, what would the rate be if we took it away from Advance, we collected that 86 cents, we ran the grapple truck and we picked up all our yard waste? I see some numbers here, but I can't quite figure out. What would that rate be? Because obviously it's going to be an increase over what we're currently charging.
Well, what I did was no increase. Some of the figures that you see here, what I did was, we're talking about doing this 2 days a week. So you'll see the top there where I've got you a driver, per hour and a helper per hour. They work 9-hour shifts, so they would have 2 days. So that multiplies out a little over $19,000 for those 2 workers for 2 days. I did not work out benefits because they're already employees, not trying to get down and get an exact figure, giving you guys some figures to look at. Steve Butler worked at some maintenance that he has been doing and some future maintenance that he would have on the grapple truck. He figured that out to be a quarterly maintenance of a little over $1,000, works out to about $4,200 a year. The fuel, of course, it's kind of hard to tell on the fuel because the vehicle is not run every day, but the month of January, we only bought $49.78 worth of gas in that truck for the entire month of January. So what I did was say, okay, if we're getting $49.78 a month and we turned this into a 2-day a week, so I said, okay, let's multiply that out by 4, estimate that out to be almost $2,600. That's $25.88 per year for the fuel. So if you take the estimate for the manpower, the maintenance, and on the grapple truck and the fuel, $85,080. Mr. Lovett did say something about the audit that we're looking at about 200 homes. What happened was I asked for an audit to compare what we actually have in our billing system and what they're actually picking up. So they ran for 2 weeks and they went down the list that we provided to them, and their guy marked every house that they picked up. So if you look at our list, there's an awful lot of people that are left on our list that do not have check marks by them that show that, okay, they're not picking those up. Then they also made a list of those that they picked up that was not on the list. What I'm afraid of is the guy riding down the street looks and the house number says number 20, and that's either an old house number and we have it as 24 in our system or something. So I don't think that we're going to end up with an exact 200 difference because there's probably about that many, if not more, that's on the list that we show in our system as an active residential customer that they do not show that they're picking up. Again, like I said, there's like 288 that's on the list that they did not pick up. So that's why you see the discrepancy when you look at my figures and I say that we have 1,415 in our system as just residential, because they're counting cars. They may have a commercial customer that has 4 cars that they're charging. So I'm only counting those that we say that are in our system as a residential customer. A little bit of a difference. So I'm saying 1415, he's saying 1627. So when you look at the figures, you see where there's a difference there. What I've done is I've taken what we're actually, the difference we're already making, and that's where you get the $4.20 because we're charging the customers $15. If we go to the $10.80 and we take back over the garbage, then we will be making $4.80 a month per customer. Now, we're currently using that money because we do all of the billing, except for the commercial customers that are on the square. Is that the only ones that y'all, because I know y'all bill us for some extra, but.
Yeah, some of the dumpsters or some of the parcel.
We bill all of the residential customers. So we've got that expense, and then we have some expense portion of where we pick up some that they've missed with the grapple truck. So if we go to $10.80, then you're making $4.20 per customer. And you can look at the $4.20 times 1,415 customers, that's $71,316 per year. If you look at the 1415. Now, if our total cost right now, those estimated costs is $85,030, we're making $71,316, so that's a difference of $13,714. So right off the bat, we're losing $13,000 if we go to the $10.80 if we start picking it up. But if advanced disposal were to drop that to $10 per month, so we're making $5 on that 1,415 customers, then we're only at a loss of 130 between my estimate.
But my question is, what, let's take the 13,714 divided by the, now I'm calculating to it. What would that do to the rate so that we're breaking even?
We need to be at $10 all in to them.
Okay, but so we're not 10, I'm just saying, what would our rate be to the citizens if we were to collect to make up this difference? What would that be?
$13,000 divided by 1,400 houses, is that the number we use?
14, 15.
But now the second part of this is if you take advanced disposal's figure of 1,627 and you multiply that by the $4.20 per household, then you're only at a loss of $3,000 per year.
$9.69 per customer. Divide that by 12 months, that's 80.7 cents per customer per month increase.
So before we get into that number, so we're talking about an 86-cent increase, so it's 15.86 for us to break even if we were to do the yard waste ourselves and keep advancing.
Well,
if they don't reduce the numbers over
what I'm afraid you're doing is you're trying to come up with an exact where my figure is an estimate on this. Okay, all right.
But my whole point was I want us to know what the cost is for us to provide garbage service. Obviously, they're a piece of that. And if we pick up the yard waste, we're a piece of it. And what is that number? So it sounds like that number is around $16 a month.
I think where we need to be, if we roll the yard waste out, is we need to be at $9.80 all in for them. Agree to extend the contract with no CPI for 2 years.
980
Yeah.
from 1080.
Yeah.
You won't see that. I mean, you're not going to see that. The city of Locust Grove is 1,900 homes just went out to bid, and we let it go out to bid, and their rate went up.
Yeah.
We bid it up $1. The city of Osceola, we just sent them a letter said send it out to bid, and their rate went up. You're seeing a trend right now in the industry. I mean, the cost of the equipment and the people, I mean, and you're beating them down. You know, I can lock you down and freeze your rate better, easier than I can lower it. If this goes out to bid and it goes to our corporate headquarters and they want to see the returns, it's not like it was when you and I cut the deal the first time. I mean, we're $1.5 billion company, and we owe investor Wall Street people money. They're looking at our stuff, and at that point, it's not as easy as just chopping a number off anymore. I see we're trying to go.
Well, I didn't just pick that number. That number helps us get where we need to be.
I understand, and the whole system is you're getting a service, you're getting a recycle service, and you're getting bulk waste still. We still get a bulk waste. Now, if you want to come back, now we can get your rate a little cheaper if we go contents only, and we pick it up with the mechanical arm, like we're doing in Bill.
We don't want to lose our service.
Well, I mean, but you want it cheaper.
Well, but we are.
You sound like the guy when we were raising the millage rate. I don't want to lay anybody off. I don't want to cut ambulances. I believe you were there.
Right.
But I don't want to pay any more taxes.
But we're lobbing off a significant portion of.
And it was in here.
Your,
We bargained. We had that rate in there, and I do this for a living, and I knew what that dollar would be. And we're gonna see this. And the question I have is when we took over from the city, they were running that grapple truck 4 to 5 days a week. The city's grown, the trees have gotten heavier in 3 years, and now we're only gonna run it 2 days a week. And so I've seen this play out already. I saw it in Cochran. We've seen the same movie. I know how it ends. So I'm not being blunt, but I saw it. They're very similar size. And I mean, I do this every day. I wouldn't tell you how to run an ambulance service. I have no idea how to. I actually call you and ask you for help on ours at the county. But I'm telling you what's happening in the industry. Locust Grove just took an increase, $1 a home, just because the council sat there and said, we're gonna send it out for bid, and we begged them not to. We said, you better not. And I raised their rate over $1 a home, and I'm still low. City of Rutledge, Georgia, just went out and bid, raised their rate $1.50 a home, and won. That's the trend right now. Bibb County just went, gave us 28,000 new homes, no bid. Because that's what's going on in the industry. So I sit here as I'm trying to tell you, as somebody that's standing here in your community, I'm standing at a podium, they're gonna put it in the newspaper, and I'm being honest with you. These are real numbers, they're good numbers, but, you know, when I'm gone one day, these numbers won't stay. Somebody will raise them. But that's, you know, we do it for a living. Every day, I'm gonna send that truck in here. City of Cochran uses the truck 3 days a week. They're 1880 homes. And it takes 3 days a week. We follow the garbage truck with the driver. But yeah, we can lower your rate if we come in here and do the mechanical arm. But you're gonna have your cart 2 feet from the curb, 3 feet away from any cars or mailboxes, and it's only gonna be contents only, nothing on the ground. But right now, you're paying an extra $1 a home for us to pick up all those boxes and all that bulk goods at that rate. So if you want to 980, when you get there, there's gonna be contents only. So it means if you're a habitual violator where you're putting out an extra box a week, you're gonna have to pay another 980. Your bill's gonna go to near, you know, 18 bucks because we can pick it up with that mechanical arm. Much safer, better for the people, it's better for the environment, it's better for the community. You don't have a guy standing on the back of the truck in 30-degree weather. So when you drive down there when it's cold and raining, or that car slides under the back of our garbage truck because they were busy trying to get to school when they ran over my helper. He's disabled now. Happens. We got rear-ended by a tractor trailer in Sylvester, Georgia. Hit us at 60 miles an hour, never hit the brakes. 2 guys disabled for life because they were standing on the side of the road picking up garbage cans. So if you want to, I put it in here, if you want to go to ASL, it's called automated side loader. That's the way of the future, and we can do that.
How do we know about this number, this 14, 15? I mean, we bill for the garbage, correct?
I don't have any problem with
So how-
it. Side load.
We know what our number is.
In our neighborhood.
Hold up, Mike, hold up one second. How do we know what that number is?
Well, that's why I asked for an audit, because I wanted to make sure that we were billing for everybody that they were picking up. Now it's gonna be an even more arduous process to go through and figure out, okay, the people that they're not picking up, that we have on the list, why are they not picking them up? Because for 2 weeks they followed the truck, and marked everybody that picked up. So we've got to figure out why those people that we have on the list, they're not being picked up, and then the people that they show that they were picking up that are not on the list, why we don't have them on the list. Some of them we figured out that, you know, the address is different, but I mean, it's gonna take some time to go through that.
The number probably will go up, despite on the map. I mean, it's gonna be somewhere between 14, 15, and 16, 27, I would think. Okay.
Now, go through the bottom part of that. That's where it says, we use their count.
Okay, if you use advanced disposal scale in 1627, that they're actually billing us for. You use my estimated cost for the, employee, the fuel, you still got the $85,030, then, that would be $82,000 if advanced disposal reduces their rate to $10.80, and you take that out by the 1,627 customers, it's $82,080. So that's, we would have a loss of $3,029. If advanced disposal were to lower their rate to charge us to $10 and you got the $5, that would be $97,620 that the city would make off of that. And so we would have a profit of $12,589.50.
Where do you actually get your count? You say 1627, what do you count?
Well, that's when we took over the city, we took the customer list and some of the computer software the city's using, I don't think you can download the Excel. Or can you, or you couldn't get it to us, I think it came to us in PDF. In Excel? I thought it was in PDF. Okay, anyways. But when we started, we put out carts, we put out carts and we distributed them and we worked with this customer list and we went down each street and marked them. And remember, you guys were doing it on your own, you had some commercial customers. So there was a lot of, and she had a cart count at that point, and we came close, and a lot of times in garbage, when you're dealing with a bill that's 48,000 homes, you know, a lot of times you're just like, we're close, we agree in the middle, and it's good enough. So we were close. Then Ms. Hall asked us to do an audit. At that point, usually the cities ask us to do an audit because they think we're charging too much. And we always say gladly, we love to do them because we know where it's the other way. And we took her listen. She's good. She's been great. We're working together. I fully expect it not to be 200 also. I just wanted, I don't know if anybody knew about that, but she's gonna work it down. And, but it's probably gonna be an increase in homes.
So it's.
Because,
You're
and
counting the cans.
the way I knew it that you guys had more is
Are you
because
counting the cans?
they were, yes, I put an employee in a truck, in a pickup truck with the spreadsheet and an ink pen, and he followed the garbage truck for 2 weeks.
What are they, 94 gallon?
Those are 95-gallon carts.
95 gallon.
And one of the ways is I knew that your contract had more carts than you were paying for is the amount of weight that you were producing was above industry average. So when they're telling me the truck can't make it through Wednesday, the truck can't make it through Thursday, I know you're pushing out, and now we've added a Friday pickup back to you. You know, you're putting out more garbage than, garbage is garbage. You're putting out more garbage than normal people do. There's only two ways. Either you guys are exceptionally trashy, or you've got more customers than you got. So, and I'm gonna go with more customers. But, yeah, we started this thing at 1,400 and something is what we thought. And then it's, you know, now that we're in the, say we hit 1,700, you know, that's over 800 a day per route. You know, that's 850 a day, and I can't squeeze that on a truck. That's why we're going over. And then when you throw the yard waste in, it's another about 10 pounds per drive-by. Average house puts out about 30 pounds a week. Some of my numbers include the commercial customers too, because I'm saying cart.
What is that, being,
Not the numbers.
not the dump,
It's just a car.
Commercial
95-gallon car.
95 gallon?
Like back
How
behind
are
me.
commercial customers handled? Are they not billed through the city?
No, they built
You
it.
bill directly?
The commercial carts are billed, I'll take it up to the city.
We kind of have a mix,
Some.
all of the ones in the square are built in the city.
Believe, if you had a commercial cart, but we consolidated you into a dumpster, that went into a different method.
Right.
And I mean, this town was not designed with the alleyways and the systems. Eric can tell you back behind his place there, it's not ideal. So there's a lot of give and take and goodwill at where you work in, so hey, we're close enough here. It's not always as easy. Those things are moving and everybody steals them. Everybody thinks, hey, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna take my trash can with me. Well, that's $50 every time you take it, plus the $50 it took me to get it out here. So every time somebody steals my trash can, it's $100.
Janice, what's your recommendation?
Well, and the other part of, I want to make sure that everybody understands, I have not included anything in here to pay the county, because when we were doing our own garbage and debris pickup, the county was not charging us a tipping fee at the landfill. When we contracted with Advanced Disposal, and they were picking up all garbage and debris, then when we picked up debris, the county started charging us $35 a ton. I'm being very optimistic in saying that if we take this back over, that the county will forego that charge where we're picking up the debris for the citizens who are also in the county, and so we do not have to pay that. So I've not included that, but I want you to understand that as well.
I think roughly, my figures is $105,000 a year, I think we charge to do yard waste, and that included the disposal. Is that right? 514 times the, isn't it about 105,000 to pay us in our negotiations? Let's see. So,
But you asked my recommendation?
Right.
Based on the phone calls that I get, I think that the job that Advanced Disposal is doing is that they are picking up the yard debris, but they are not picking up the yard debris to the standards that the city would like, because they do not have a grapple truck up here. They've got a guy with a pitchfork trying to pick it up with the garbage truck, and I think that our guys have done and could do a much better job, and I don't know if it's just because they're city residents, they're city employees that they would pick up and do, and I mean, I honestly think that if we take back over the grapple, and that we can do this based on the $15, especially if they drop their cost down to $10 per customer. that we can do this at what we're currently charging, and that we can do this and do a much better job. And I've spoken with Alan Randall, and he assures me that we can pick this up in 2 days if we stick to the route, that we don't call and say, so-and-so was missed over on the other side of town and pull the guys, because that's what we ended up, that's why we got out of the business, because we were sending the guys all over town. And then I also think that the other part of it is, the ordinance change that I sent to y'all. One of the things that I have in there is that if a customer has more than just a normal amount of debris to be picked up, that needs to be an extra charge. You know, the one that we talked about, like the guy on Country Club that just had this huge mound that was almost as large as his house, that should not be included in the amount that the city picks up. And if you have that amount, that you'd either, if you go out as a property owner and you cut this and you move this to the front, then you need to pay. But in the ordinance change that I've sent to you as well for you to review is, if you pay a landscaper or a contractor, if you're paying someone to come and clean up, part of that pay needs to be that they need to take it with them. That you're not paying a landscaper to come and clean all of your debris up, cut down all of your trees, or do whatever, and then you haul it to the side of the street for the city to pick it up to be included in that $15 a month. I think that if a contractor is doing the work, that part of that work needs to be that they remove the
Okay.
What if he doesn't have a contractor and he still comes out? Who's going to determine the size of that road?
Well, and that's in my information to y'all, is that we need to make a determination as to what that size will be. I know Advanced Disposal, theirs is 2 cubic yards. There's a lot of people that could, you know, they put out more than 2 cubic yards. I mean, our citizens clean their yards an awful lot. They like to have their yards looking good, and they like for that to be picked up and moved. Now, the other part of that is, in discussions, in department head meetings, what we've talked about is that debris would need to be picked up on Mondays and Tuesdays. Not try to do half of the city on Fridays and the other half on Mondays, because then you're gonna have the people that are gonna say, well, you know, I really wanted mine cleaned up after, you know, or I worked on the weekend and I cleaned it up. And so that would be, that we would need to again retrain people that we would do the debris pickup on Mondays and Tuesdays, and divide the city in half, similar to what Advanced Disposal has divided, and have half of them picked up on one day and half of them the other day. We kicked around the idea of having this side of town on Monday and this side of town on Tuesday, and then next month switch it. But I think that would be more confusing to the customers if you're switching, because they won't know which month we're on Monday and which one we're on Tuesday. That we need to set a schedule and stick to that schedule, and not, because that to me, that was the problem when we first contracted with Advanced Disposal, that we had a very set contract that we did not stick to, and still trying to go out and pick up things behind Advanced Disposal, and so, I mean, we did not stick to that, and so whatever we decide, we need to stick to that and maintain that. And, I mean, there may be some, especially if we take the yard debris out, we need to make some amendments to the contract that we have with Advanced Disposal, because we're not currently picking up for the contract. Because we've changed some things around, especially if they keep the yard debris, because the yard debris was supposed to be picked up with the garbage, and we changed that to a completely separate day for all yard debris.
Not exactly. We pick up the small piles when we can. But remember, your cart count originally was 1,400 homes. So when these extra homes put us over the tipping point, we came back and added a day of service. I mean, the business model was performing on 2 days a week service based on the information that was given us. When we went past that tipping point.
But that's what I said. Your contract calls for you to pick up 2 days, and you guys are picking up 3.
Yeah.
And so
that's a benefit, isn't it? We wouldn't be able to service Grits Cafe if we weren't here on Friday. Right. You know, so it's been one of the benefits. Now, roughly speaking, by my math, if we charge you $514 on 1,627 homes, that's all we have right now in hard math. That's a little under 101,000 a year, including disposal, for us to run the groundwork here. I read in the paper that was said the yard waste was in exchange for leachate. But in budget meetings, that's not what I've been told. It's wastewater sludge in exchange for leachate. And the yard waste was always something on the outside. So when you solicit the county, you may not get the votes for the free disposal. Like especially as hot topic as that's been over there at that building, is that landfill is costing them somewhere about $45 to $50 a ton to operate, and the gate rate's only $35 a ton. And I know, I've heard a rumor that every citizen that hits the scales over there is now being charged $35 a ton. So from what I was told previously, it's wastewater sludge in exchange for leachate, not yard waste.
That's not an even exchange.
Well, I know wastewater sludge in our landfill is bringing about somewhere about $40, $50 a ton if you bring it in ours, because it's problematic because of the hydrogen sulfide that's inside of that. And the hydrogen sulfide right now is what makes a landfill stink. So right now, the current trend is to problematic waste streams like wastewater sludge. They're not very friendly towards landfills. So most landfills. So I know right now leachate can be taken to Jackson or Thomaston for somewhere around 6 cents a gallon and transported for somewhere around 4.5 cents a gallon. So when you're looking at problematic waste streams like wastewater sludge, you're probably correct. It's probably not a fair trade. It's probably the other way around.
Are you talking about dried sludge as opposed to?
I'm talking about poop.
I know.
That's what it is.
But it's been belt pressed and there's no de-water.
You want load in your yard? It's belt pressed. It ain't good any way you put it. I don't think anybody wants it. And so when you're talking about that, it's not as easy as it looks. So, I mean, you guys are good. Whatever you decide, let us know. I mean, you're.
I think two things. Yeah. One is, what's the lowest numbers we can get from you guys if we take the yard waste back?
Well, the math is there, and the mayor's already negotiated that rate for you. 3 years ago, he negotiated
No,
that
I'm not
rate.
taking it back. But you said you reduce, you get rid of the yard waste, you're offering us $10.80. You're saying $10. So
He negotiated that rate 3 years ago.
you can't get the $10.
You know, yeah, I came in here, so it's not really professional
No, I'm not
to
saying
beat
that.
a guy up
I'm
when he's
saying-
standing at a podium.
I'm
So,
saying
I mean,
you-
if we're gonna get into that, then you gotta start throwing out some years, and then I'll start bargaining
That's what I'm
with
saying,
you,
Jared.
and
I'm
you're
saying,
bargaining.
what's it gonna take, because the two numbers we need to know is, what's your number gonna be? What does that do to the contract, right? Can we take the stuff to the landfill, can we not? I mean, we still got some things to answer before we can make a decision.
I agree.
We don't have all the information, we're a lot closer, we just don't have all the information yet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I was asked to give a presentation, and now it's turned into Price is Right. So, I mean, I can bargain, but you start throwing out some numbers, and I can twist the math pretty quick. But, you know, if you guys start throwing out some years, I've told you it's easy for me to freeze those CPIs and y'all can back up. You know, we asked for y'all not to give away the $17, is that correct? Back in 2013? That's what you were charging residents. No, you were charging 20. We said, hey, let's not don't give it all back. And then Councilman Dodd was in that. Don't give it all back. You're gonna want that money back one day. And so a whole lot of usually to hold on to it. Once you give it back, you can't ask for it back. So, you know, these are some old history lessons that we've done here. So,
Well, the citizens,
so if we want to sit and,
Go ahead.
You said a while ago, if we skip somebody, we're not gonna go back and pick their debris up. That's BS.
No, that's not what I said. What I said was, we can't send the guys all over town and say, so-and-so has a pile over here, and we've got to go over here and pick them up, because we all know that when we were picking up the garbage and debris ourselves, those guys did not have a set route, because they were picking up what they were getting calls about.
Right.
If someone is legitimately missed, then we could go back and pick them up. But to say that we go down this street and then we get a phone call and we get sent to the other side of town, but that's what I said, no, that we can't send them all over town. They've got to have a set route.
Right.
it's the same as the difference is you roll your cart to the week the night before it's picked up. You roll your trash can out and it's picked up and you roll it back. Yard waste is not that day. It is very real. The yard waste could sit at the curb for 6.5 days before it's collected again. your grass can turn brown in 6.5 days. And it can, because when if the truck rolls by and you come behind it, you don't take your yard waste and put it in a pile behind the house. And you don't pile it up behind the house and then come back and pick it back up again and move to the curb. You immediately transport from the tree, from the ground, from the collection point to the curb. And that's what Ms. Janice is trying to say is if you miss your day, you can wait till next week. And that's what it's trying to say is that way, that's the only way you guys are gonna reach your efficiencies is to get it into 2 days.
I understand that, but if they miss somebody, they're taking their butt back over and get it.
Well, how do you know if they're missed? Because most of them, you know, you can always tell when
Well, I
they're
mean-
fibbing because they tell you they look at their watch on the phone call. They say, hey, was your trash out? Yeah, because I looked at my watch. And you know, automatically that's a precursor to, no, I didn't get it out. And we used to have a previous elected official that used to call us quite often and send us back to his house. And we did make several trips back.
I understand.
You know,
But if you rode by my house and I called you, it was out there. So, I mean, I can't speak to anybody else,
you know.
but
What's the will of the council? We
Yeah,
want to
we're
decide
gonna
anything
look-
tonight?
I'd
I'll like
Get
to
some
take
more
more
information.
Yes.
more information, Mr. Mayor.
I'll say.
All right, can we
Yeah.
be specific maybe in what we want
Yes.
from them and from Janice, and that way when we come back, because we're not trying to play the prices right, although it is a fun show.
I think we need to know what the bottom number is if we take it back. We need to know what the total cost, the real cost is if we take it back, including the disposal.
Including the commercial.
Tipping fee.
I mean, is it a safe assumption to say that we're leaning towards taking it back? So when they come back with their numbers, the numbers we really need to see is how low we can get it if we take it back, and how much of an extension in the contract.
And what was the
Is
rate?
that not an assessment?
I'm not leaning that way.
Okay,
I'm,
all right. I'm not trying to
I'm
lead
looking at both
everybody.
sides.
Okay. Well, what information,
I'm leaning
what
that way.
information do we want when we ask him for a price? I mean, he's given us some prices, so if we're asking him for something, I think we need to, in fairness, be specific about what we're looking for.
Mr. Mayor, the biggest thing I'm looking at is, how can we make this thing the most efficient for the city, and less painful for the citizens? That's it, bottom line. If it's a one-stop shop for all of them, for them to do it, I just need to know the price. How would it affect the rate going up or down? If we're gonna take back doing, you know, the yard waste, that's fine to me as well. I just want it to be convenient. I don't wanna see a lot of yo-yos, a lot of changing, a lot of this, that, and the other. I wanna see consistency, and how much is this consistency gonna cost? That's it. I'm a black and white kind of person. Either it's gonna cost this much, and this is gonna be the service that's provided, or it's gonna cost that much, and that's the service provided. That's the only thing I wanna know. It's kind of basic.
Well, my feeling about all that, I think we need to lean towards taking it back. That's what I feel right now.
But you want that to be economical.
Right, yeah, yeah.
The rate's gotta cover the service.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Whether we do it or whether Van.
Whoever does it.
Well, she's at 80 plus disposal. I'm at 101. I think we're tit for tat. I mean, we're right on the numbers together. And by the time she adds disposal to her number, it's going to cost you $100,000 to run a grapple truck around this town. Is what it's
In
going to
the
cost you.
case, we need to know what the number of customers are. And we need to know what the rate would be to do that. What does our rate look like? Is it $15? Is it $15.60? Is it $16? What is our rate?
So we need to get a tight audit, know what the exact numbers are.
And I heard one of you say something about commercial. We only pick up debris residential. We do not pick up debris at commercial. I mean, I wish I would, but that's.
There'll be some savings in that count.
What you and I need to look at is how much of your 1627, how many carts includes commercial, so we can start comparing that as well.
That's fine.
Is there, you do pick up some, commercial yard waste?
No.
There may be some. I mean, if it's out there and the guy's driving a truck by there, last thing he wants to do is drive back from Emory Highway all the way back up here. So if he sees something on the ground, he's probably gonna try and pick it up. You know,
I mean, I haven't done it, and I pay you, I do not pay the city.
yeah, I know. She's talking about the commercial carts. I don't know what that was. It was 100, 150.
on the way in there.
I may have the wrong town, so.
I just think at the end of the day, people don't care who does it, they just wanna see the yard, everything picked up. And that's it, so I just,
I can tell
it's
you,
basic.
when it comes to yard waste, nobody's ever happy. And the way the trash people get talked to, you do not dare talk to your police chief or your sheriff the way that a trash man's talked to. And that's just the way it is. People think if you pick up trash, you're trashing. And that's the way you get treated. But, you know, I can tell you towns all over the state of Georgia where we do yard waste and it's never happy. Because it goes up and down. And you can sit here all you want trying to pass legislation or ordinances or whatever. You can't dictate when the wind blows or when the tree drops leaves. You can't control that. And it's going to be heavier this week or next week. And you may, and that truck has only got so many man hours or so much volume. And if the volume that dropped from the tree or the grass is higher than what your truck can hold, you're not going to be able to finish it. And you're going to go over your pro forma amount of money. What you need to also think about is spare trucks. When your truck's broke down, you know, what's your contingency plan? If that truck breaks down, I know y'all are out of it for an extended period of time. What is the contingency plan then if it's out? You know, we've seen diesel trucks go to the diesel shop for 3 weeks at a time. And I'm trying to do y'all a service, because if y'all take the yard waste back, that's like, you know, Bear Fox, don't throw me in that briar patch, because it's tremendously better for my company for you guys to take it back.
Would you
So
all,
please don't throw me in that briar patch.
would you all provide a spare truck, or you would be able to pull one?
We'll always work with you. Yeah, if we got to the man
I mean,
hours,
if y'all took it, if y'all kept it. and did
I'd send
it-
rear loaders up here and more help. If my grapple goes down,
Right.
number one, I've got 2 in Houston County running. So I would pull one out of Houston County, got 2 in Cordele. I'd pull one out of Cordele probably if I had to. Most part of what I do is I'd probably run up here with a rear load truck and an extra man labor to try and help out. You know, that's some of the things we can do. But I mean, the real is we make more money if I can run through. If you let me send that automated truck through here, it's better for us, you know, as a company. But I'm just trying to give you advice, and I'm not as political as I should be, and not as happy and singing a nice song. But I'm trying to tell you, you know, you can feel free to call Cochran and ask them what they went through, or call the city of Cordele and give you all the phone numbers you want.
I was part of the move to privatize, and I think we've done well in saving money to privatize. We're losing a lot of money, and we reduced the rate to the citizens. So for the last 3 years, we paid $15 rather than 20. But the real sticking point's been on the yard waste. We gotta get that worked out.
It costs more money to pick up yard waste the way you want to do it. So I go through this at the county. They want convenience centers. Well, it costs more money to operate convenience centers. It's expensive. The citizens want it, and they're willing to pay for it. I don't know if your citizens are willing to pay for the service that you're fixing to offer them. You know, because it's the math is there. Miss Janice is giving it to you. I've given it to you. We're right on the money. It's going to cost you an additional $100,000 to run that grapple truck like you want it run. Now, did that offset? You're going to save 86 cents a home, so there's some savings there on your pro forma. Mine's 100,000 over currently. What's your payment? Did you factor in your?
So I had it at $4.40, which was your $10.80.
Okay, then you did take the savings. So, yeah, but y'all, whatever you decide. Like I said, our position is if you take back yard waste, we do better. I can cut your city back into 2 days. We'll have to work that out with grits, but we'll be back to 2 days, and we'll still do the bulk waste and the recycle. And, but when you think about it, there's 1,627 homes. How many screamers a week do you get? 16? You get 16 really mad people every week. Like really mad. 10? You want to call?
Probably anywhere from 10 to 20, depends on
So that means
what the increase now.
that's less than, yeah, with yard waste.
Yeah.
It's less than 1% of the population. That means that garbage truck is servicing 99% of the population correctly. And that 1% could mean, you know, it takes customer participation. Did they get the card out there in time? Did they get in on time? Was the pile in compliance? So 1% of the population we're gonna pass legislation or cost measures, we're gonna increase cost 100,000, 99% of them are happy.
Jared, I don't think that's true. I mean, we're running a gravel truck now, picking up more trash, and you get more yard waste than you guys are picking up on a weekly basis. And we're doing that to satisfy the customers. So
Yeah.
I think it's been a hodgepodge of
So how many days a week do you run your grapple now?
or as needed, or, I don't know.
Really as needed.
I mean, 1, 2? When we cease now, so it's, you said there's a whole Friday route that's gonna come back to you. So if you're exceeding, plus what I'm picking up Wednesdays and Thursdays on route will remain on the ground. So you may go over the 2 days, you may be 3 days.
All right, I think we've got about as much information as we can get. We've got a motion on the floor to table. We're gonna get, Ms. Hall's gonna get back with us.
She can email me suggestions or whatever counter offers you guys wanna offer.
Yeah, I think we've got 90% of the information. We just need to get that other 10% and we'll be ready to make a decision. So, have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of 2015 departmental budget transfers.
Okay, but let's don't read the brief first.
All right?
I did send all of you a red line copy of the, solid waste ordinance. You will look at that, let me know if you have any questions, any suggestions, anything that you want to change. I also sent that to Mr. Malcolm, he's reviewed it, so, yeah. And of course, this may depend on some additional changes based on what changes you may make. But I do need your suggestions and changes back on that as well. Or budget changes. As you know, at the end of every year, we have to go through and make some budget amendments. And these are budget amendments that the auditors will look at with your general fund. Of course, you have to have a balanced budget for the general fund each year, which we did for 2015. We have a couple of departments that went over, and so what I need to do is review those overages by department with you and ask for your approval to make those changes. In the general fund administration, we have overage of $43,594.24. The majority of that is $34,387.79 that we have gone over in legal and professional, and then $14,000 that we're paying to Forsyth Cable for ground lease. For the municipal court, we went over $100.80. The majority of that was because we went over in legal and professional, and that's where we pay the judges and the court staff. The court fire department is over $586.89. The main reason for that is you guys had approved to pay for the equipment for the ladder truck out of the municipal competitive trust. We did not have the funds, but we had the funds, and so we paid that $43,196 out of there. And so his overall budget is over $586.89. In recreation, it's over $998.96. All of that is from the electric bills for the park, and I'm assuming that with Kynette Park having the building that went online, that's where that came from. Main Street has an overall $14,415.72 that they are over, and the majority of that is in salaries. And when they lost one of the assistants, we paid a temp service. And even though they're actually paying the employee $10 an hour, you're paying the temp service $14 an hour, and so that was the majority of their overage. Plus the fact that when we changed and we moved all of the capital outlays and the debt services to their own quote unquote department, the $4,000 for Forsyth grants was moved to the capital outlay, and it should have been included in there, so we really would have had an overage of only $10,000. In the capital outlay, which is where we've moved, and we paid for copiers, one-time purchases, those sorts of things. We were over $58,583.15. And in those, for the administration, we pay for our postage equipment and the copier. The police department pays for their monthly lease and their copier. The fire department had a one-time purchase of the breathing apparatus for about $34,000. The Better Hometown, I did mention that the facade grant should have been in the department and that budget should not have been in this department. And then there were the grapple truck repairs, and we purchased 3 pickup trucks for the street department. That was the majority of the overage in that department. So our overall that I'm requesting budget amendments on is total transfers of $118,285.76, and that will balance out all of the departments within the general fund. The other thing that I do want to point out is that when we did the 2015 budget, of course, we had the balanced budget for the general fund, and we budgeted to have an excess between the general fund and combined utilities of $110,041. After all of the transfers are made from the combined utilities and from a hotel motel into the general fund, we will have an excess in our budget of $375,148.44. So we did very well at the end of 2015.
Very well. You need a motion.
I need to
Have a motion. Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
That $998.96 was rate part, is that just due to the electric bill?
Actually, in the recreation department, we budgeted $4,000 for the electricity for all of the parks, and we actually billed $5,226, so we were actually over $1,200 there, but the department came out $998 because some departments, some line items were less. But yeah, we were actually over $1,200, so I'm looking into that to figure out what the problem was there, and make sure that we have enough budgeted for 2016.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Update and review.
Okay. Several items that I want to run through fairly quickly. The Beautification City Committee will meet this Wednesday at 8:30 at Alderman Hall. Representative from Keep Georgia Beautiful will be here to review their program as part of Keep America Beautiful. I had a couple of additional people that have said that they want to attend, so we had 15 people at the first meeting.
We have about 15, so.
What time? It's at 8:30 at Alderman Hall. Georgia City's Week cleanup is April the 23rd from 9 to noon.
No, 16.
Yeah, that's the 16th.
We've gone through that several times.
I wanted to be on the 23rd. Okay, it's April the 16th from 9 to noon. Main Street is advertising this for us. They've created a brochure, and one of the things that I'm not sure about is they have that we are meeting on the square to begin the cleanup. And I don't know that has been determined yet as to whether or not we want to meet on the square as one and then leave and go to the different areas that you're planning on cleaning up, or if you're just planning on an area that you're going to clean up, that you're going to actually meet with your group that you've got there. So have y'all made that determination yet? So I want to make sure that that's being advertised correctly.
I think that's what the point of conflict was, the point of friction. Are we going to clean up parks? Are we going to clean up residential? What are we going to do? And so how are we going to divide people up? Are we going to have, everybody's going to go to this one location? So I think that's the point of friction. Okay.
And meet up here too, meet us sit down.
That may be something that we ask this group to help us figure out on the 23rd. To help kind of spearhead it. We, of course, we'll get some press in advance of it. Everybody engaged, let all the citizens know what's coming. And if they are comfortable with that, maybe we bring it to them tomorrow.
I'll tell you what.
She's advertising for the 16th.
Okay. Just wondering.
I think I'm on the
23rd.
One thing I would like to see is, you know, if we're attacking an area, I would like to see probably Highway 41. If we're gonna be on the square, let's attack Highway 41. I would probably say it has the most traffic, I guess going towards Orangeville, or it doesn't matter going down, towards the high school, either way. But I think that Highway 41 is one that is a gateway we probably want to make sure we address and keep clean. I think it also gives us a chance to look at, other areas that might need attention over there as well, such as sidewalks and things of that nature.
The other part of this is, GMA has sent out an email, and I'm not sure if all of you received this or not, but they are encouraging cities that are participating in the Georgia Cities Week to be mindful of areas that the cities can breathe. They're doing a toss and tip, promotion, toss away old containers and other items where water can collect, including flower pots, and to tip any outdoor furniture or anything that's outside that would collect water. So that is something that we need to keep in mind when we're out cleaning up, that we need to get rid of those areas that can hold water for mosquitoes. The 6-week fix demonstration that was held last week on last Thursday, department heads all attended at another demonstration. They all seem to really think that this is a good program. They're all excited about it, and so I sent the terms and conditions over to Bobby for him to review, and he sent that back to me. So I'll be getting back with 6-week fix to see if we can make some changes to their terms and conditions before I bring that back to you for approval. The CDBG project is nearing completion. The contractor unfortunately did not understand that included in his contract was the purchase of the meters and the MXUs. And so I have a change order. I've given you all a copy of that for tonight for the approval of change order 1 for the CDBG project. It is an increase of $19,302.40. The original contract price was $279,654.50, and so the contract price with the change order is $298,956.90, and this is for a cost of $241.39 per meter for 80 meters with the MXUs, so that they can install those meters.
What was in his bid document? I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I didn't know what's in there, so I think you know what he did. What was in the bid?
He did not bid for meters. They were
What was in the bid document?
We asked him, yes, we asked for meters, and he did not include that cost.
Okay, so we shouldn't need to reimburse him.
This is the cost for the difference between a regular meter and a meter with an MXU.
Okay, so what did we ask for in the bid document?
Just regular meter.
And now we're saying we want
MXU. That's for the auto read meters. The engineer did not include the type meter that we actually use here at Forsyth. He just included a, So the 241 is the difference.
This total is still less than 4%.
Oh, yes.
Good bid.
It's another $120,000.
This bid was way under, he was way under.
Yeah, we still got a bid.
I
Still got a bid in the bid document.
Right.
Second. Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
On the Bun Road project, we're finalizing the JUCA application, and it should be submitted either by the end of this week or the first of next week. The county has installed their meter for the Collier Road water line connection. That connection is at the Indian Springs Business Park. You will see there, right at the business park, between the two entrances to the business park, that they are in the process of building that vault there to put the meter in. The bore under the railroad has already been made, and so they will come under the railroad at that point, connect to a T and meter, and then they will run their lines up to the county, up to Smith Road on the other side of the railroad track from Indian Springs Business Park. Strickland Loop and Sutton Road lines are completed, and those have been turned over to the city. We've got 12 customers on Strickland Loop and 14 on Sutton Road. Of course, all of those are not active customers. Some of them have gone ahead and paid their deposit and their tap fee, just for future use if their well, do have problems with their well. Some of them have remained on their well. Continue to work with Electric Cities of Georgia to develop a calculation for electric cost for business incentives, so that we can come back to you and we'll have either a 3-year or 5-year plan that we can work with the, few businesses. I've not heard back from the Department of Transportation for the railroad crossings. I sent an email to Michael Nash and asked him for an update after the resolution was submitted to them. And his response back today said that I should hear something this week, so still waiting on that. Several current and future vacancies will be announced soon. I'll have the, announcement for the police chief that will be out by April the 1st. Once those go out and I've received all of those back in, I will do like we've done, since Ben Pondo retired. I'll, get a panel of citizens to assist in the review of those applications and, the interview process to select a new police chief. The other is the economic development position. I should have that out by April the 1st as well, and then when those come back in, we will look at those, and then there's a couple of other key positions of people that should be retiring this year that I will be submitting those out in the near future. Working on compiling a cost for the Forsyth Festival for our employees as to what we actually contributed to the Forsyth Festival as far as manpower and materials that we did supply to them, and I should have that back for you for the next council, for the next work session. The retirement plan documents, resolution's been submitted to GMEPS for them to do a plan document change along with the cost study. The plan document change should come back. That usually takes them about 30 days or so to write that and send that back for the in-service distribution. I'm not sure how long it will take them on the cost study for the change to city employee retirement. Navison Health is working on the sinkhole on their property. I received several complaints from citizens regarding dangers of mosquitoes and of the standing water. And with each of those that I received, I have passed those on to my contact with Navison Health. But they were down there Thursday and Friday. I did not see anybody down there working today when I went by, but they were down there working Thursday and Friday. We received notification last week that the City of Forsyth Farmers Market was selected to receive the Ag South Farm Credit $1,000 support grant. The market will receive $1,000 from Ag South to use as advertising and otherwise promoting the venue. They will also receive 100 reusable Ag South branded think outside the store bags to distribute from the market. Main Street and the Tree Board have joined the Roslyn Carter Butterfly Trail. So as new plantings are being made around the city, they will be including butterfly attractor plants. And the first place they're going to do those is at the Park Circle Arboretum. As they're planting trees over there, they will also be putting some annuals out and possibly some perennials that will attract the butterflies. Main Street has asked that I follow up to see if any of you are interested in the trip on April the 9th to Duluth and to Kennesaw to visit their train museums that they have there, to see how those are working. That is something that Denise Collins and Don Daniel has offered to the city for either elected officials, for DDA, for Main Street, for Historical Society, for anyone that would like to take that trip. If you guys could let me know as soon as possible if you're interested in that.
April 9th.
What was the date on that?
April the 9th, but Mr. Gibbs.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Absolutely.
Or add to that while you're on training now? And I brought this on you today with a work session, but I got some, my next door neighbor gave me some magazines, and I was just looking through them. And here's a magazine from October 2005. It's the Southern Distinction magazine. Looks like it comes out of Athens, Georgia, but it's, just a Southern magazine. And ironically, in this magazine that I was thumbing through, is a wonderful article about, I made copies for everybody, of the Forsyth Old Train Depot Museum, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought that was very interesting. Here we are, this was, how long ago was that? 11 years ago. There was an article about the train depot, train museum, and so it was really good. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. So, and I have the magazine here if anybody wants to see it. Sorry.
Very good.
Sorry to contribute.
Good sleuthing.
Yeah, that's good.
So if any of you are interested and available on April the 9th, if you will let me, Crystal, Lorraine, Tracy, just let one or some of us know.
Saturday.
Saturday.
What time?
We're gonna leave It does not say, it just says we're leaving that morning and returning the same day.
Oh, okay.
Any idea?
Maybe.
We would say about 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, and we should be back by 5 or 6. And, oh, by the way, a lunch will be included. There'll be 6 Whoppers to be split amongst all y'all. I encourage y'all to go on this trip, because you can see what other communities are doing and what an attractor a train museum could be for the city of Forsyth. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every night.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That was just a sidebar. Just a sidebar. I think I could get an extra Whopper.
Yeah.
You get to order French fries here.
French fries, all the time.
Other item that, one of the other items that I have is, Chief Harmon would like to add a position in his department. And, in looking back through the new charter, it does not specifically say, if new positions are added as to whether or not that really has to come to you guys, but I thought that I would bring it to you to let you know and to get your, nod of approval to add a fire safety coordinator, records manager position. It's a part-time position. He wants to fund this, through the money that he, requested for the inspector. Because this person will be doing part of the job that the inspector was doing, instead of the inspector having to key in all of the, reports from when they go out and do the inspections. This person would actually key in those in and managing those records, and additionally doing the fire safety. We would need to advertise this, even though it is just a part-time position. And of course, being a part-time position, the max that they could work would be 29 hours a week. But it would be nowhere close to 29, they would probably have about 10 in the inspector. Any questions? You guys good with that?
What kind of pay?
Probably around the $10 an hour range. The other thing well, actually, this is the last thing that I have, and I want to talk to you about utility partners. They manage our water sewer. When we renewed with them, we renewed our contract in 2014 with them. And I'm not sure exactly how this was done, but their annual increase states it is based solely on the Atlanta Metro CPI. No cap on it, no, it has to be at least, it was just Atlanta Metro CPI. The Atlanta Metro CPI in 2014, from 14 to 15, there was a 4.7% increase on the CPI for the Atlanta Metro. We only had a 2.4% increase on our contract with utility partners. If you've ever worked with the CPI, you know that it really all depends on when you look at it, how you look at it. If you look at just Atlanta, or if you look at just parts of it, or if you look at all of it, as to what number that you get. But the 2.4 is the number increase that utility partners sent to us for an increase from 2014 to 2015. The CPI for Atlanta from 2014 to from 15 to 16 is 0.662%. So that is on their contract is like a $500 per year annual increase. Of course, they've asked that we go back and we look at this. They understand that this is in their contract, that their increase is based solely on the CPI. When I went back and I looked and I said, well, the CPI for the increase for 2015 really should have been 4.7, and we only increased 2.4, so that's really a 2.3 difference. What I budgeted was a 2.5% increase for 2016, because I assumed that since it went, the increase was 2.5 in 2015, that it would be about the same. And so that's why I budgeted for the 2.5% increase. One of the things that I do want to point out to you is utility partners goes above and beyond on their contract. They help the street department. And this contract was the first contract that we included that they would do the road repairs when they do water cuts or sewer cuts. what they've done is they help the street department when they're doing their monthly patches or road cuts. They help them with not only the ones that were affected by water and sewer lines, they help them with all of them. I dare say if you check with any of the other cities that their contractor is actually the one that helps them with their annual budget. But Pat participates in all of the department head meetings. He handles the water sewer budgets just like all the rest of the department heads do. They install all of the water meters, whether it be new meters or broken meters, because that's a job that has always been the responsibility of the meter reading department. But they just were not able to handle that, and so utility partners took over the installation of all of those meters. So I say all of that to say to you that, you know, if you would look at that, if that's something that you want to think about, if you need some additional information from me, but with all that utility partners does for the city, and then another part of their something else that they have in the contract is that they can have a 1-year extension on their contract. And what I would really ask for you is if you do a 1-year extension on their contract for this year, so that mid-year of this year that we're not looking at putting out the water sewer for renewal on the contract. The main reason for that is that we have our sanitary sewer survey this year. That's every 3 years, and that will be taking place in September. And I would hate to be trying to look at new contractors to come in here in the middle of that, and then this is the first year of the tank maintenance that we have with American Tank as well.
You have a recommendation on what you want to do as far as their contract rate?
They just,
Yes.
you know, stick with that, or?
Well, what I did was I looked at the CPI for 2015. The increase really should have been 4.7, and we only did the 2.4. And so I said if we do the difference of that and do the 2.3, do the 2.3 for 2016 increase instead of the 0.66, and then that would make up the 4.7 that they get us up to the 4.7 that they should have had for the beginning of 2015.
How much money is that? 2.3.
How about we subtract the 1.7, the 0.7, 0.6 from the 2.5, and put them to difference? I know it's only been one something, but we don't have to give any.
No, you don't.
You said 1.5 was $500.
If you do the point oh, the 0.6, and it's gonna be about $1,034,000 for 2016, and I budgeted the 2.5% increase, so I budgeted $1,059,000. But I did not write down what that actually would be for the 2.3.
What was it before? What was last year? What was the total number?
It was $1,033,734.
33,734. What are we saying, 0.25? Or 2.5?
2.5% increase will get you $1,059,577. That's what I budgeted.
Give me that last number again.
$1,059,577.
Minus what was last year?
$1,033,734.
I got some letters in my calculation. Sure that's not right.
You do how?
There was an E that popped up about halfway through the line. All right.
It's about
It's $20-something thousand.
$26,000 increase.
$20,000.
Where if you stay with the almost nothing increase, then you're gonna be really, you're just gonna be close to the $1,034,000. But I did not understand what you said, Mr. Hewitt. I didn't hear all of what you said.
Okay, the actual increase for last year was what? Point
This year's would have been .67.
67. Strike that to the 2.5 that they didn't get the year before.
2.3.
2.3. And pay them the difference.
What number is that? 1 point.
Tell you what, I
We
know.
need Jared, he said he was math guy.
Somebody else tell me,
I'm as frugal as the next person. In fact, I probably need to see more people looking at my bank balance. But, you know, in order to get superior service, you've got to pay a reasonable rate. And, you know, you keep beating people down, and that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a beat down job.
That's a 1.63%, just to put the number out there. That would
She
really
was
right.
2.5. But, you know, I mean, just one little instance, you know, they demolished that house for us down there at the rec park. And I know it's still not smooth and there's the grass and things there, but it still looks a whole lot, the house is not there.
Right.
And it looks a whole lot better than it did before.
What if you give them the 1.6?
1.63.
We give them 1.63 and give them a 1-year extension instead of
Yeah.
giving this, you know, things that the city manager brought up, or just,
Is that in the form of a motion?
so,
Second. Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Yeah, because here, when you said we don't have to give nothing, what did you mean by that?
well, I mean, that didn't mean nothing, but I mean that we could give this at one.
Oh, so I got you.
You put it up to bid.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Based
Okay.
on the
Try to get
contract,
some-
it says that their annual increase will be the same as the Metro Atlanta CPI.
Okay.
And the Metro Atlanta CPI for this year is .6, so it's a little over a half of a percent.
So
All right,
minus
thank you.
4 point,
Mhm.
something last year.
Thank
So
you.
it could be back, could be somewhere in that neighborhood next year.
What you're doing, you're amending the contract, you understand that, no? Aren't that the record, you know, you're actually amending the contract?
Mr. Goolsby made a motion to amend the contract and extend it by a year and to, give them 1.63% increase on the 2016, is that correct?
correct.
Is that what you said? All in favor? Carries unanimously.
We give them a little bit.
With a sluggish vote from Mr. Dowell.
Well, that gives them an increase and saves us a little money from that.
And it's good to
And you don't have to do it all.
Do you have anything else to report, Ms.
My
Hall?
report, if anyone has any questions of anything I reported or did not report.
Ms. Hall, how long we gonna have for the chief and the economic development?
Probably going to run those for 3 weeks. And we'll have different websites that we will put that on, including the GMA website, the city website, and then there's some economic development websites for that one, and then the Police Chiefs Association websites for the police chiefs.
Very important meeting next week, on the 29th, city-county meeting, Rick's Cafe. County Commission, City Council.
Yeah.
Yes, that's his part, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
What day is that, Monday?
That will be the 29th, which is a Tuesday.
So while we're at it, I'd like to register a complaint of having Monday meetings. I would like to consider going back to a Tuesday meeting. Or something,
We trying it out. We trying, yeah, we trying it out.
When you reach that point you'd like to do it, we will entertain a motion.
I'm real close.
Well, I'm enjoying the opportunities to go to the county meetings. I think it's working out. I mean, I know everybody's got different schedules, I understand that.
So what time you set now? On the county meeting?
6.
Okay, all right.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Joint city-county meeting, and of course, it'd be great if full participation, because I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to get off to the right foot,
Okay.
doing some joint projects. Maybe with the county.
Mr.
I'd like to add that we have a recreation committee meeting on, that Monday, the 28th at 6 o'clock. And I do have the agenda written down, I just need to get it to you as well. On West Johnson Street, the striping looks good. Is it possible we can get some of the holes filled in as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, those holes get pretty serious.
The ones in the by the railroad track?
On Johnson, on that
Well,
one else,
oh, Johnson.
West Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Everything by the post office was pretty bad. And then passed around those houses, right before you keep the east, that's another area as
Well,
well.
down around, the Hughes house.
There's some on East Johnson too,
Yeah.
East and West
Yeah,
Johnson.
east and west.
I mean, the striping was good.
Striping was great.
Right.
Central Johnson was good.
It's just a hole.
Can we ask questions of the evening?
Sure.
Before we
This is open, if y'all have any.
what's the status of the street, new positions in the street department, concrete? Sidewalk people we're gonna have. Any updates?
Yeah, you re-advertised it, and I have not talked to him about the application that he got in. I know he was talking to one gentleman, but that, he still had it out for application, so I do not know how many he got this time, because he did not get a good response the first time when we asked him for experienced concrete person.
Was it the, what we were paying wasn't good enough for, or was it, any particular reason we're not getting a good response for it?
I don't know. The salary is not advertised that I'm aware of.
Right.
But people just did not apply.
I would like to propose an alternative that we would take and bid out certain portions of sidewalk, do a bid report, certain lineal footage, whatever, however you want to measure, and bid it out. I think we come out better that way than trying to hire somebody work where we wanted them to work. If we had a certain area, like you were concerned with 41 North, connecting the existing sidewalk with where 41 picks up, where they poured that new sidewalk. Of course, they validated that work on 41 by saying to make it pedestrian friendly. And they put sidewalk, big gaps they could, there's a lot of gaps, few gaps. So if you wanna work on 41, let's take that further. If you just say from 41 to me, at Piedmont, what is it, Piedmont Hill Park? Piedmont Park. Go from, wherever it drops off, let's see, down here at the,
I do remember that that's a $700,000 project.
Just to clear, that's like.
well, all right, take a
$1 million
small
project.
I think we're dealing
I'm
with,
just saying, it's an example.
I think we're dealing with two different things, because I think the position she's talking about, they're gonna patch and fix. Because we got a lot of spots that need to be fixed of existing sidewalk. And then we gotta figure out a capital outlay for building sidewalks.
Right.
So I don't envision this person's gonna be building sidewalks, not on a grand scale, they may be small pieces. But that was kind of what I was seeing. I may have misunderstood.
But my point is, I think you would get a whole lot of bigger bang for your buck if you bid it out than if you tried to hire somebody to do it.
So you're talking about on the repairs?
Well, yeah. Well, not necessarily all the repairs. But
I think that's where we were on this.
Large portion of the sidewalk, if I can do it.
Yeah,
I think you could come out with way ahead.
but if you go down Brooklyn Avenue, you got sidewalk that needs to be replaced. Sections need to be replaced. I don't know that that's a big contract to get somebody, I don't know that we're replacing the whole sidewalk, we're just replacing the sections that need to be fixed. All of the streets in town have some sections that need to be, and it'll be a continual maintenance program, and I think that was what Councilman Goolsby
maybe, were you the one that mentioned that idea of having a full-time person?
And we have the position already budgeted in the, I mean, I understand putting in new sidewalks, but I think we need to fix our existing sidewalks before we start adding
Even if you
additional.
tear it up, even if you were gonna replace or stretch the sidewalk, that would be a buy, that you would buy. Okay, we're gonna replace from here X to Z, and put it out to bid.
Will it be more, expensive though? Would you do
No,
that?
well, I think you'd get it cheap, and you get it a better job too. You can control the quality, as opposed to an individual with, the work would be to his standard. Here you write the specs and you bid it out, just like we do a lot of other things.
Let me do this, let me talk to Alan tomorrow and see if we got anybody on this second re-advertisement, to see if we got anybody that can actually do concrete work, that has done concrete work before, and then see if we can talk to a contractor and say, okay, if we took this span of, sidewalk, what would you charge? And then we can work it out, see what we have, employee and benefits before.
Another problem with, if you try to do it in-house, or you have to have the equipment, you know, it's not just a position that you hire someone to build sidewalks and form up concrete and all that. You have to have backhoes, dig out, to level the ground, dig up the old, concrete, to form it up, you know. You have to have a lot of equipment.
Talked about doing it.
Pardon?
I thought we talked about all this when we talked about getting a position. We have a backhoe, right? I thought we went through all this and the idea was.
No, we haven't gone through it, Greg. We talked about it at random.
Okay, well, I don't want to spend the next 2 years coming up with a plan to fix the sidewalks. I'd like to see the sidewalks.
You can start
fixed.
getting it tomorrow then.
Well, who's gonna come up with the bid? Who's gonna come up with the bid document? Who's gonna come up with the section of sidewalks? And then why do we fix sidewalk A versus sidewalk B? I think we'll be here a year from now saying, okay, well, we got 5 feet of sidewalk fixed. That's great. Let's go bid another 5 feet of sidewalk. I'm tired of hearing about damn sidewalks. That's the number one complaint, sidewalks and garbage. I get beat up every time I talk to somebody. Those are 2 things I get beat up about. So I'm fine doing it however you want to do it, but I want to do something.
That's good.
I want to eat supper, and I suspect we're all getting hungry, so. Anything else?
I do have one other item. I know we did talk about possibly contracting a street sweeper, to keep the city, a little more beautified, beautiful, should I say. Have we thought about, has that been looked at as well, or no? Probably more towards the autumn when things are falling a little bit, so this summer. And the gateway grant for, I-75, has any progress been made on the gateway, grant for beautification on I-75 by Shoney's? Have we made any, because that's almost 2 years ago now, I almost want to say.
The last paperwork that was submitted to Department of Transportation, they came back and said that we had to do an inventory of all of the trees that are there. And Lorraine is working with, Michael Gleason, and he's actually doing that inventory to submit that back. It's another one of those things to the Department of Transportation that when you submit paperwork and they look at it, they send it back to you and say, okay, now we need you to do this and submit it back.
Sounds like a hurry up and wait job.
Yes, sir. But that
They
was the
answer
last
question
thing
with a
was
question.
inspect the inventory.
Also, we got a grant that's coming out, really doing much with it right now.
They won't release the funds until we submit everything to them, and apparently when we submit, they send something back and say that they need something additional.
All right, anything else from the council? I'll entertain it. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Leave.
That's all I'm gonna say.